Did you know that both English and Yiddish are Germanic languages, and neither of them are 2,000 years old? For Yiddish shares the same alphabet as Hebrew, and it was created approximately 1,000 years ago. When they refer to the Bible, they refer to Yiddish as Hebrew. Hence, it was a German by the name of Martin Luther who started the Reform movement. And by doing that, he tried to create an older New Testament format and place the future in the past to the book of the Testament, which was written in Ge'ez. So they try to split it in half and put the future in the past by telling you stories of the future happening in the Old Testament. That's why you'll find Moses and Jesus together in both the Old and New Testaments. And Moses is the chosen one, for God has the highest title as the seraph or the angel. That's why when Adam was born, Adam didn't have parents or didn't have a mother. Adam only had God as his father, just like Moses, the man of the true God. God made this man himself, or they would say Moses, the man of the true God himself. Hence, Moses was made by God himself. So in Luke 9, verse 33, you clearly see that Moses is the son of God who is in the clouds with him as an angel. So let's read. And as they were being separated from him, Peter said to Jesus, "Instructor, it is fine for us to be here. So let us erect three tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." He not realizing what he was saying, but as he was saying these things, a cloud formed and began to overshadow them. As they entered into the cloud, they became fearful. So Elijah and Moses entered into the cloud, and the people on the ground became fearful. And a voice came out of the cloud saying, "This is my son," in reference to Moses. For Moses, by definition, means son or son of. The one that has been chosen. So my son has been chosen. My son Moses has been chosen. And that's why the voice occurred and Jesus was found alone. In other words, Moses and Elijah flew off in the cloud. That's why in the book of Jubilees, it lets you know that Moses went up into the mount of God, and the glory of the Lord abode on Mount Sinai, and a cloud overshadowed it 6 days. And he called to Moses on the seventh day out of the midst of the cloud. In other words, Elijah, who is God himself, called Moses out of the cloud. The same Elijah who was talking to Jesus out of the cloud, saying, letting Jesus and his disciples know that Moses is his son and Moses is the chosen one. So let's read. Please, praise waiteth for thee, O God, in Zion. Unto thee shall the vow be performed. O thou that hearest prayer, unto thee shall all flesh come. Iniquities prevail against me. As for our way transgressions, thou shalt purge them away. Blessed is the man whom thou chosest, and causest to approach unto thee, that he may dwell in the courts. We shall be satisfied with the goodness of thy house, even of thy holy temple, which is going to be built by Solomon towards the end of time. Solomon, aka Moses. So let's watch who's the God of Zion.
At 18, shortly after his father died, he became governor of a province. In 1928, he led the troops that killed Empress Zalditu's husband, who was not of royal blood, and became regent. He became emperor on November 2nd, 1930, and was crowned Haile Selassie I, King of Kings, King of Zion, conquering lion of the seed of Judah, power of the Trinity.
Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. So what did he say? In 1962, a new Amharic translation from Ge'ez was printed, again with the patronage of the emperor. Why? We realizing that there ought to be a revision from the original Hebrew and Greek that was added into his Ge'ez Bible. Remember, the original Bible was written in Ge'ez, and then these people, the Tewahedo Church or whatever, added in Hebrew and Greek to it. And after Selassie was deposed, the 81 book Bible came back in 1986. Hence, in 1962, Selassie created a 72 book Amharic translation from Ge'ez alone. In other words, he didn't want Yiddish in his Bible. So what is Yiddish? Yiddish is a language of Ashkenazi, which came less a little over 1,000 years ago, and it shares the same alphabet as Hebrew, just that they use it for different uses. So when they're referring to the Bible, they call it Hebrew, but it's Yiddish, the same alphabet. And where did Yiddish come from? It came from the Rhineland of Western Europe approximately 1,100 years ago. And when did England start? English started in the 5th and 7th century. It's an Anglo-Saxon language, hence it's a Germanic language. So what did Haile Selassie say? I owe thanks unutterable by the mouth of the man of the living God who has enabled me to be present among you. Today is the beginning of a new era in the history of Ethiopia. Since this is so, do not reward evil for evil. That's why he said the Bible should not be cut into portions, because that's what it did in Europe when they created an Old and New Testament format. So as you can clearly see, therefore the Bible should not be cut into portions. And what he wants most of all is you are aware of the contents of the 10 Commandments and can elaborate on it. If the nation of which I am the emperor follows and accepts this, since it is also what I accept and follow, I will believe in our country. So what are the 10 Commandments? I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me, regardless of what that Table Hater church says. You shall not make for yourself a carved image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven and above. Why? Because God is a living God. And what is God going to do? Selah, come and see. So who is God? God is Selah. Come and see the works of God. He is terrible in his doing towards the children of men. He turned the sea into dry land. They went through the flood on foot. There did we rejoice in him. He ruleth by his power forever. His eyes behold the nations. Let not the rebellious exalt themselves, Selah. O bless our God, ye people, and make the voice of his praise be heard. Why? Because a big flood is coming towards the end of the world. And if you're not down with the righteous, then it will affect you. For the elements will change in themselves by a kind of harmony, like as in a psaltery note. Change the name of thy tune, and yet are always sounds, which may well be perceived by the sight of things that have been done. For earthly things were turned into watery, and the things that before swam in the water now went upon the ground. The fire had power in the water, forgetting its own virtue, and the water forgot its own quenching nature. In other words, towards the end, it's going to be a big flood. So if you're not down with the righteous, hello. On the other side, the flame wasted not the flesh of the corruptive living things, though they walked therein. Neither melted they the icy kind of heavenly meat that was of nature apt to melt. For in all things, O Lord, thou didst. And who didst that? Selah. Haile Selassie the first. So follow God, not man. And remember who he is. Remember, don't forget who he is.
Not of royal blood, and became regent. He became emperor on November 2nd, 1930, and was crowned Haile Selassie I, King of Kings, King of Zion, conquering lion of the seed of Judah, power of the Trinity.
Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
Your Imperial Majesty, you were 39 years old when you were crowned in 1930. Yes. Could you talk a bit